there. You good though? The glasses, not seeing any stars, no bugs, no nothing.
Well, the big bug right there.
Yeah, just the one.
It's showtime.
Yeah,
this episode is brought to you by PBR.
Not a sponsor.
Not
yet.
We're working on that.
I mean, hey, the PBR, Pet Blue Ribbon. If you want to come in and steal us from Miller High Life, by all means, because I think I've mentioned them.
Iron City Blue Collar.
I think I've mentioned High Life 9 times in the podcast history. Not one word from their executives. None of them have returned my emails.
That goes to show you who's watching.
My letters.
This.
Yeah, exactly. Pabst Blue Ribbon, if you're watching this.
Surely the people at Pabst got enough time they could watch podcasts.
That's right.
Hell, they're operating out of Latrobe now, not even out of their own place. But.
Yeah, all the time that other beer companies have spent, reinventing their formula, making tweaks here and there, not PBR.
No.
Same recipe since what?
1844.
1844.
Good shit right there.
Well, must be good to be drinking again, right?
Not bad. I'd like to report that I'm healthier than I was the last time we did this.
Yeah.
And got rid of my cancerous situation. The tumor's gone. It was on the base of my tongue. And no scarring effect inside. There's been no, everything's cleared up. It's good to go. And seems like I'm back on the road. However, it took me a good while to recover a little bit of taste, at least to taste beer, if nothing else. But my taste buds are like up to like 50 to 60%, and they come and go. So one day it might be good, next day it might be bad. But you're drinking PBR or Iron City, I guess it doesn't really matter. But your taste buds. But I do have a saliva issue where I have to rinse everything down. So I feel like Joey Chestnut every time I try to eat.
Yeah.
I take a bite and rinsing it down.
Right.
Which is something I never did was eat and drink. I either drank and didn't find a need to eat or.
Yeah, because it got in the way of the drink.
Yeah, it seemed it wasn't.
By the way, any children listening to this, that's a bad example to follow.
Yeah, this isn't a good thing to follow.
Eat your fruits, your vegetables.
Yeah.
Say
your prayers.
Get your servings.
Prayers are a big part.
Chew your vitamins.
Prayers are a big part of it. That's what got me through the whole cancer thing, with a lot of good support from people and family and friends and a lot of prayers. And I had shirts made up that said, "Hold my PBR while I kick this throat cancer's ass." And that was kind of cute. But, try to keep a positive attitude through the whole thing. And it worked out pretty good. And some of the people that I went to the James Cancer Center with, similar treatments didn't fare as well. And I felt kind of bad about that. I went through all the chemo and radiation treatments and hadn't taken any medication. I didn't feel anything different. I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any issues. But the residual effects from all that kind of linger on. So you're weary and tired a bit. And I got some numbness and different things like that are issues now that I hadn't had before. But, mainly I'm doing pretty good for what I went through. And I think it's good. So good to be back. Good to be back in the podcast. And
it's been too long, actually. We took a break just in general. But I was figured the best person to kick off the next season with was my biggest fan of not just me, the podcast itself. Although I will have you know, I had at least 5 people that do listen to the podcast regularly asking how it went, and I said, "Well, he'll be on to tell you himself. He'll be on to tell you himself," and then get a little sidetracked here and there. But
it's fun. It was a good thing. I watched that podcast of ours, and I kind of felt weird the first time I watched it. Like I didn't know what was going to happen, but it did.
Well, I never
come out a little bit different than what I remembered us sitting and talking about. But it was good, and since then there's a good bit has happened, and obviously we've moved out of your place and into our new
Hence
home.
the new backdrop.
Yeah, and we're not very well decorated like he is with deers and
Right.
whatnot. But
I can't tell you how many guests have since then have been like, I didn't know you hunted. I was like, yeah, I hunt at yard sales.
You tell me boil them at a yard sale?
Yeah.
No. But no, it was good. It was nice to be able to camp out with you for a while. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mom and I like that, and not that we didn't deserve it after all we put up with you for 18 years.
Well, 20, because there was the 2 years after that I was still there. Yeah.
But a good backup plan there is to have a sibling or a son that's close
making all that good
that,
stand-up comedy money.
Yeah, right. If it wouldn't have been for all this money from this comedy shows, we'd have never been able to pull that off.
Yeah.
I know more than anybody how much he's not making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm the guy that orders 20 tickets when there's only 5 people who are going to be
there.
there.
This 3-month break between podcasts. Yeah, it's not because I've been busy doing shows. It's I had to save up money that I'm pouring back into my creative endeavors. But someday I'll start. I'll be in the black instead of the red. But
yeah, that went well. I got over that whole thing, and we're back at it. So
I had to tell a story. So again, over the course of your treatment and whatnot, you had to, for the first time since you were a teenager, quit drinking. And I'm very, first off, I'll say this, I'm very proud how you actually handled it at the get-go. Like
I remember being at the last podcast we did. I think I was drinking water at that point.
Yeah, you were doing water.
And I still have one real close by.
Yep.
Can't live without my water because, like I said, no saliva. Everything got to be rinsed down. I'm not drinking nearly as much as I did before, but I drink quite a bit of water, maybe 5 or 6 of these a day, and it is what it is now.
Yeah, I remember though you came over to my house and got into my beer fridge. It was like, I think it was maybe your first beer back into the world of drinking, and I don't know how you just didn't like look at the can, because like you took the swig, and like I think you called me. I think I was like at work one day, and you said, "Hey, I had a PBR out of your fridge, and it's weird. It tastes a lot like Miller High Life." And I think you then like called me back a little later, and you're like, "It was Miller High Life." You just again maybe just so
excited.
Yeah, you were tunnel visioned. On your mission.
Just beer, plan, grab it.
Yeah, you were like Andre the Giant on a night out. You didn't care. You're just palming cans and just sending them back.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how you drink Miller. I mean, I had bad taste. I still don't have good taste. Beer, there's expiration dates and everything else, but that stuff there, gee, I'll tell you what, that's rough.
Yeah, no, I know I told it on stage, I think, and I even sent, there was Miller High Life even had this like contest online one time, and I even entered it because it was to win a free year worth of beer. And I even put in the story about why I'm a Miller High Life drinker, because then when I first started drinking, when I bought the house at 20, and then I started drinking at 21, I kind of forgot just how expensive alcohol as a hobby can be. And so I had the big like wake up call moment of like, oh, I need to like cut back, and like I can't be drinking these expensive craft beers anymore. Right. I can't be going out to breweries and living like I'm doing an episode of Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations. Because obviously it looks great when he's on TV, but you don't realize he has a whole crew of people that's like cleaning up the scraps, eating the rest of stuff. He gets a bite, talks about it, and moves on.
Right.
Or, is like drinking these cocktails or whatever. Everywhere he goes.
See what you see.
Yeah, exactly. When you're the one-man television crew of your own food show, it gets expensive and just bad for your health. But the thing was, I even as a comedian, my joke was to myself, I would get a case of Miller High Life, because even at my lowest, I could still drink ironically and live the high life, But I drank Miller High Life almost the whole time I was like 23, I think. I drank almost nothing but Miller High Life. So I always say it's when I look back at the darkest points of my life, when there's one set of footprints in the sand, it was then that Miller High Life carried me. So I figured they'd appreciate
I'm not so sure that's exactly how that poem goes.
The therapist didn't like that one either.
No.
You should have seen how quickly that notepad came out at that one. Sees Miller High Life as savior. But no, that's the reason why it's got a story, it's got a place for me in my heart. So
yeah,
and also I like when it comes to like collecting like beer memorabilia, like again, I'll edit a photo in this somewhere, like I'll like put it up in like a corner or something like that. You have a really nice PBR like neon sign that even has like Newark on it.
Yeah, there's not very many. There's only about 4 of them that I know of out there. But
yeah, you got it, refurbished and everything. Yeah, it's really nice. I really like the Miller High Life memorabilia too. Like there's the one of like the large-breasted woman with like the witch hat or whatever. And they just have like beer in general. It does have this really cool like old school like memorabilia stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like you got like the Budweiser Bulldog. I mean, that's pretty iconic too.
Right. What's like Spuds McKenzie?
Spuds McKenzie. Well,
I trained Spuds. I think I trained Spuds. Did I tell you that one before?
No.
Yeah, me and they made a big thing out of me. Did all them commercials and everything. But hell, I trained Spuds to drink.
No.
Yeah, it was. They made a big thing out of him and that. But hell, no, he was just a pup.
Yeah. If I'll say, depending on what other beer companies are listening to this, if the Pittsburgh Brewing Company, aka Merry Christmas Iron City, if they're hearing this, if you have some beer campaign or whatever, any marketing thing you want, you need to be in touch with my dad.
Yeah, I could use some more Iron City stuff.
Yeah.
I have this huge metal sign out in the garage that I haven't hung up yet. I'm not quite finished with my garage after building this place and moving in with away from him and into our new home. I haven't quite got my garage finished yet for a drinking hole, but I'm working on it.
I'll say, the baby 12 steps have been made.
Yeah. And we enjoy our new place, and it works well for us. We have no steps now, and it's good for your mom and I, and it's working out quite well.
Yeah.
So
lost your good view that you had there for a while, but
yeah, it's a little different. It's but it's all we need. It's all,
I just meant because the houses are already up on the other side of the street. I mean, and I mean this time next year, this will be almost in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah, since Christmas they built 10 houses across the street.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty wild.
Yeah. And full circle here, when I was house hunting 11, 12 years ago, or no, it was less than that. When I was house hunting like 9 or 8 years ago, this neighborhood, back when it was only like 3 streets, was the very first one I looked at. And how fitting you guys ended up here.
You should have stayed, man. You heard the word condo. It's a freestanding condo. Everybody got their own house.
But there was lack of parking too for all the crazy rager house parties I was going to throw when I was 20.
Yeah. How many have you thrown?
I haven't done one since I was 24.
So you'd have probably been better off just to suck it up and get in while it was cheap.
And even then, I think the biggest one I ever had there was maybe, I don't know,
probably
15 people.
Probably something I threw.
It was the one you guys crashed it. I remember that.
Yeah.
You guys were out drinking in like Zanesville-ish area somewhere, and then all this, and we're out in the garage, we're like playing like beer pong and stuff like that, and all of a sudden these other cars roll up, and I see you guys stumbling in. Can we use your bathroom?
Well, it wasn't we wanted to crash your party. It was we needed to close your bathroom in our house.
I got distracted there. Your welcome mat got blown up against the door. Yeah, it's a
tornado.
I'm getting to watch the weather really picking up out there right now.
That's okay. We're fine.
Yeah, we're
hasn't leaked yet. Hasn't leaked yet. We're good. Yeah, should have brought them deer along. I got a good place now. I could have hung them up on this tall ceiling here, but
Yeah. But so there was another story about your. Oh yeah. Wait. So when you had your final session of the radiology, the chemo, the treatment, whatnot. So I remember getting a message from mom, or I think I called her the day before, and I asked, and she said, "By the way, look decent." She knows how I dress now. I dress for comfort, not for looks. She's like, look nice for once. And I was like, okay, I think I can do that. And then I get there, and I'm the only person not wearing my hold my PBR t-shirt. And now I look like an asshole.
Well, yeah, I was going to bring that up, but I was so excited. Yeah, I got to ring the bell, and they come out and they presented me with this big mask that they had been pinning me down with for months, and for my treatments, and so I got a couple of people there at the hospital, a couple of doctors and some nurses and aides and things that had helped through my process, and they all liked my shirt. It had that hold my PBR while I kicked throat cancer's ass thing, and they thought that was just the greatest. So I picked a few of them up, or had them made for them, and sure enough, everybody shows up with them, right? And and
then there's me wearing some shirt that I can barely fit in from my high school pictures.
Every time I'd go in for my treatments, there was young people, I call them kids, right? And they were in there, and they set you up and they pin you down and they get it all ready. What channel, what kind of music do you want to listen to? Well, they already knew I was into classic rock and stuff. So, we'll turn the radio on. So when I would walk in the door coming into the place, I would say, it's showtime. And I'd throw on a sort of radio voice and try to entertain them a little bit, and they got a big kick out of that. So I wanted to do that at the end when I went to ring the bell and I finished all my treatments. And that was probably one of the 3 worst days that I felt like that stuff was starting to kick my ass. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't so much in the throat. It was just wearing me out after going in there every day. And you're doing them treatments and stuff. And I was like, I'm about over this, and
what was the sensation like during the actual treatment? Like, what was that sensation like in the throat area? What did it feel like?
Nothing. You just lay down. They pin this thing, which I could get real close and show you, but
looked a little like an Iron Maiden thing almost.
Yeah, they pin you down to this table, and they already had pre-designed where this thing was going to shoot, and it shot this radiation all through my neck, going into my throat and the base of my tongue. And you couldn't move anything but your eyelids or your eyelashes. I mean, it was like, that was all your eyeballs. That was all you could move. You couldn't twitch, scratch your nose, nothing. You're pinned down, and it went on for like, I'm going to say 7 to 10 minutes every day, which wasn't very long. A lot of people say, oh, I couldn't do that. That freaked me out. It's like, okay, you could do that or die, one or the other. So as far as I was concerned, I wasn't moving. But once you lay down and the machine starts and you can hear it humming and buzzing and clicking and whatever it's doing, you could not feel any radiation penetration or burning or nothing. And the thing would shut off, and I'd lay there for about 2 minutes, and they'd come in and say, okay, you're all done. They'd take the thing off, and I'd sit up.
Let you rest like you're a steak? Like, just like let you finish cooking off there?
Yeah, well, I was good. Then I'd go upstairs, and they'd hook me up to, they'd take blood and see if I was good to go for my chemo treatments. And the chemo, what it does is trick your body into thinking that radiation is still working. Mm-hmm. So that 7 or 10 minutes worth of radiations, it did its thing. Now the chemo, they pump it all through your body, and it just keeps reactivating all that. So, that's the tricky part of it, is trying to get over what that did to you. So it sort of like rewired me a little bit. Like, I don't feel exactly the same. Like, I'm like the same person. Yeah. I may look or act like it, but inside I can feel that I'm not the same kind of I don't think the same. I almost got like an ADHD thing going on now, where I can't focus, or I can't stay on one particular project at a time. You know, I'll go from the kitchen to the bathroom to the bedroom or something, and I'll see something else I was doing and say, you know, like, oh, look, fireball, you know.
That's not ADHD. That's a whole nother medical diagnosis there. But
you get what I'm saying.
But
it's weird. It's just funny that like I said, I got numbness in my 2 fingers and the side of my hands all numb. I can't feel any of that. They don't seem to see any correlation at the hospital, and I'm like, it never happened before.
Yeah.
And you know, I get tired a lot, but you know, my taste seems to be coming back somewhat. They said in 2 years, just consider that your new normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I got another year or so to go before I get to my new normal, but it's just, I don't know. It's not quite the same, but at least I kicked the cancer's ass and got rid of that virus that caused it. HPV virus, by the way. Yeah. That we all seem to have grown up with for some reason. Right. It's sort of like a shingles virus that hangs out there dormant.
Yeah, it's one that
once in a while it'll kick in and flare up and cause you grief, but some people it don't happen to. In men, it typically starts in the throat, tonsils, tongue area. In women, it's more of a cervical cancer sort of a thing that clicks in, but you may never get it. So you know, but nowadays they're inoculating kids and people for it. And
it is pretty scary though, because HPV, that is the one that like most of the population has in some varying form from like 1 to 10 basically.
It's pretty popular.
It's like a chicken pox kind of thing.
The doctor says that over, what do you say, 1/3 or 2/3 of his patients now are from that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, I got to wonder if maybe COVID or something didn't charge up that virus, or, suddenly this doctor's, one of my oncologists are saying that he's seeing a big uptick in this right now. So why would that be, I wonder? So,
I mean, there's a good chance that between actual COVID and or maybe even the vaccine, but and then the actual, I remember like going back to like the actual treatment process too. Like it's crazy to me that you don't feel it at all in any way. Like, so
I expected to feel it burning or some kind of and you can hear the thing running. I mean, something's going on, and they're pinpointing with laser beams from a different angles the point of contact that they want to hit. So, I'm thinking like I should feel different or something there, but when it was all over after 33 treatments of that radiation, there was some scarring and there was some hard to swallow points.
I always would jokingly tell people it was like an evil tanning bed, but it's crazy that a tanning bed, I guess, would be more evil than that. Tanning bed, you at least feel it. Also, there's a lot of studies that those aren't even that good for you either. So,
well, we had a tanning bed back in the day, and you can get burnt in there pretty good, but I expected this to be worse.
Right.
And to be honest with you, it depends on where it's at or the degree that you have or how soon you caught it or whatever. But there were people who I went in there every day with that went through the same treatments, and their skin was hanging off their necks, and they were totally burnt, like they were burnt with a heat gun or something, and they gave you medication. They keep asking you every day when you go in there, how do you feel? What medications you on? Or, can you swallow or whatever? And I'm like, just like I was yesterday. I never had any problem. Some other people, it looked bad.
I remember them saying that it would be like the first 2 weeks you'd be fine. And then they'd say like week 3, that's when people really started feeling it. And again, I was very proud that you held out pretty much until like the last like 3 or 4 days before like we finally saw that it wasn't affecting you.
Yeah. It was, I think it was just it wore me out going in there every day doing that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, mentally and physically and emotionally, it was just, and then you've seen other people in there, and, it takes a lot of, over a month of that stuff is really wearing on you. It's just like you got to drive through Columbus traffic every day to get there. First of all, Dana was driving, and it was like that was no problem. Other than I was like the co-pilot trying to tell her what lane she needed to be in, and she was sick of listening to me tell her how she ought to be driving.
Yeah.
But,
heck, I had drove you guys like 3 or 4 times, and I remember at one point even I was sick about like, it doesn't. All right, well, I'll get in that lane eventually. All right,
you drive to Columbus every day, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was okay. I got through it. After it's over, it's like a lot of other things. You know, once you look back at it, it's not as bad as you don't know what to expect going into it. So, and then you see other people or heard other stories, or you go with what they caution you with. And every day they caution me, this is going to get ugly. It's going to be bad. You're going to, you know, and they do it every day. So you have to know they know what they're talking about.
Right.
However, I may have been that 1 in a million kind of guy that got through it without any severe issues. But
yeah.
And that's good if that's how it went. But I'm sorry, it's probably ours. PBR acting up.
But no, I remember also you actually we're gonna cycle back for a second. So you talking about having a tanning bed growing up. Like I always when my friends and like I mentioned like my parents are a little older. And they're like, oh, what? They're like their 50s or 60s. No. And it's like I tell them that they're purely, late 70s, early 80s children. And I was like, you don't believe me? I grew up with a tanning bed and water beds in my house.
True story.
It's a miracle there wasn't shag carpet.
You don't remember shag carpet?
No, there was. I don't remember shag carpet then. Maybe it was the moment I stopped crawling. They were like, okay, well, let's get something a little less bacteria ridden now that he's not crawling on his, hands and knees.
Maybe in good barber he'll be able to stand up and walk right.
right. Berber, you got baby food on your carpet? What's that? I think that was like Talladega Nights or something like that. I think. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, actually, speaking of moving in, last we talked.
You're not.
No.
Go. A surprise.
I'll say, no. Comedy's not going that bad. So. Could be going better, but it could be going worse. So.
Keep them cards and letters rolling in.
Yes.
So he'll have to move in with me.
Yeah, the more Dear Abby letters I get, the better for the brand. So last we talked, we talked a little bit about growing up in Pennsylvania and all that. So I think we had left off where I mentally pick up here, which is you working for the PPG building in the parking garage.
Yeah, it's the Gothic looking 6-building place downtown, used in a lot of movies, and that has the black spires and black glass. And
I'm pretty sure that's exactly why they filmed the one Batman movie there.
Absolutely.
It kind of looks like the Batman cowl.
Yep. Yeah, they do. And often you'll see, I'll be watching movies, even whether it's Hallmark or wherever, and you'll see a outside picture of people going into an office building. And I know it's the PPG place, but then when they go up into their office, they're supposed to be in like Vancouver or wherever, Paris or something.
Yeah.
But they use that quite a bit for picturesque shots and stuff.
Also, now that we're talking about PPG and Batman, it's really crazy they didn't use it in the Michael Keaton Batman because Keaton is from Pittsburgh.
He is.
So that would have been a double whammy there. That could have been his Wayne Tower, But and then I also, speaking of him, before we get back to actual life in Pittsburgh, do you know Michael Keaton's real name?
Michael Douglas.
Yes, and you know Michael Douglas's real name?
I don't think I do.
It's like Michael
Keaton.
No. It starts with a C. It's something Spanish because
I don't know.
But yes, the whole debacle about he was doing stand up as Michael Douglas in Pittsburgh, and then when he got into the film, he was going to keep using his name, but they're like, oh no, we already have a Michael Douglas in Hollywood. So that's when he took inspiration from Buster Keaton, and then the rest is history. But anyway, working PPG Bone. How long were you there?
I was there probably about 9 years, I think. when the PPG place opened up, I was hired there with our property management company that saw the whole complex. And actually, they haven't finished it. When I started working, I was working in the parking garage, which is underground underneath the whole complex.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 levels of parking underneath of there, and they hadn't even poured the concrete down under, and they were still working upside and doing things. They had cranes and things around there, and it was back in I think 83 or 4 when I first started there when they were building that, and it was pretty neat. It was a beautiful place, and you know. So I put in some time there, but it was fun. You got to know a lot of people. I met a lot of sports figures, and you know, a lot of radio and television people that parked there or whatever. You know, I got a lot of odd stories from that. But Ruth Chris Steakhouse was just upstairs on the first floor of the on the ground floor upstairs, but it was up one from our garage, and went in there, and I met a lot of the Penguins, and they, you know, like when the Rangers came to town one day to play them, they all went to dinner. You know, you see all this fighting and craziness on screen or whatever, but on ice, and them guys were all up there talking and hanging out and having a big, you know, dinner together and everything like that. And I went in one time, and Yelmer Yager was just new in the club, you know, and I had real long hair at the time, and his was just getting kind of long. And I met him, and unbelievable. All these hockey players are like football player size, you know, mm-hmm. They're like huge guys. They're like 6'3" or 4 or bigger, you know, and then they're on skates with pads and everything. Pads, and you don't realize that when you see them skating. But so I ran into him, and I'm Tom Brasso. I knew him. He was the goalie. And he was introducing me to some of these people as we were going in a restaurant one evening. And I told Yelmer Yager, I said, you know, you let that hair grow. I said, it's going to look like this. And I turned around, I had all these long curls. But and he ended up letting it grow. But pretty nice place and good people up there. And I met Cheap Trick in there one night. Went in after work one evening. A guy had an open tab that he insisted that us parking attendants that was taking care of his car and stuff like that, we'd go up there and have a drink on him. He was an attorney, and he would complain to us of, hey, I got my tab and there was no drinks on us, you know. So he said, get up there. So I go up one night, went to the bar. It's like, you know, 10:30 or something like that. And I see this guy walking out of the dining area and come up and sat at the bar just as I ordered a drink. And I thought it was kind of odd that he was in like jeans and like a regular, I don't know if he had a t-shirt or what. And the next guy out was Rick Nielsen, the guy with the ball cap that plays lead you know, and he come out, and the girl attending the bar says, you know who these people are? And I said, well, I didn't until I saw him. So they all sat, you know, and I'm sitting there next to the bass player and a drummer, and then Rick was down there, and I introduced myself, and they introduced themselves. They had just had dinner. We had drinks. I had a baked potato and a couple of drinks, and was just putting money on Terry's tab, you know, just to show I was there, and sat and talked to them guys all evening and about concerts that they did around Pittsburgh and different places. They used to play in like theaters and roller rinks and stupid places, you know, when nobody
when you're starting
knew,
out,
you know. And I was surprised that they remembered the names and the places that they had played back in the day there, you know. And so that was kind of cool. But like always, I never asked anybody for an autograph. I just took it for what it was. And then they'd rather just sit and talk and be normal people. They don't want people bugging them about who they are, you know. But they were at Conneaut Lake Park that night, I think, playing, which was still not a big venue, but they'd already had their big time.
Right.
And but they had taken a limo down from up there, from up north, and come down for dinner, and we're hanging out. So that was cool.
Well, Cheap Trick is one of those very few weird bands that like they never really were that big in the States. All of their touring, they would go to like Japan and like Europe. They were way bigger outside of America.
They didn't get the recognition they needed, and until later, I think they did get recognized after the fact. But you know, they were an underrated band for sure, and a good band at that.
Yeah. And,
but they were regular people just like us,
right.
just a bunch of people having fun on the road. And,
yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Yeah. The couple few, like, I guess, bigger comedians I've brushed shoulders with too. Each time I never tried to be, actually the last one I actually met was Jim Norton, who most people on this podcast know. He took over the Opie and Anthony show from back in the early 2000s. Whatnot, it's him and Sam Roberts now, but he, radio guy, also great comic as well. And like the whole time I'm like, just in my head, make sure you don't bring up that you're a comedian. Just handle it as like a normal interaction. My buddy Cam, he did most of the talking.
There's a shock.
Yes. Yeah, one of these days I might even have him on here. But and again, it's one of the few. I'll save that one for when I start getting comments about Destin. You talk too much on your own podcast. It's like, okay, well, here's someone that won't shut up. So
yeah, I'll have my dad. That's right. He never shuts up.
Yeah,
I won't be able to get a question in.
Yeah, you are a favorite guest on here for not just the rich history that you have, but also you shut me up. So.
What other rich history do we have? Well, once when we were, I don't know how old you were. I'm going to say, I might have to ask the audience on this one. What year was it we were in Daytona when we ran into Artimis? 97. So Destin was
like 4 going on 5.
4 or 5 years old. Yeah. We were in Daytona Beach.
Oh, yeah. Please.
He spots a race car inside this restaurant. And it was parked inside the thing, they're on display.
Was this the place that had the Bigfoot that was on like 30-foot tires or something like that? Like,
no.
It was, okay.
No. This was like right on the beach.
I remember that. I definitely remember that. But
that was over Race Rock near Orlando.
Okay.
So here we are in Daytona, and you spot this Slim Jim car. You were a big NASCAR freak over, knew everybody that drove
today
the cars.
I'm a big Slim Jim freak, so it checks out.
Yeah, it's just full circle. But you knew the sponsors, the drivers, the numbers, before anybody really even knew. I had to just go with what you said because it was always it comes true. Yeah. So spot this car there, and it's like 11 in the morning, right? And I go over and I'm looking at the door, and a guy comes out, and they're getting ready for the afternoon and evening events of the day, and it's Mother's Day, by the way, Mother's Day, and guy invites us in, and I said, I don't know what we're going to do. We're just walking by. I said, my son's seen this little race car here. I thought he'd come in and check it out. Oh, yeah, come on in. So I'm looking at this flyer on the door, and I see this band that's going to be playing there, and I see a guy that I thought I recognized, and it was Artimis Powell from Lynyrd Skynyrd, the drummer. But it was under a band named Those Guys. And I said to the guy, I said, I'm looking at this picture, and this looks like Artimis Powell, And the guy said, yeah, they're playing here tonight. He said, as a matter of fact, they're setting up their stuff right now. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we better come in and check the race car out.
Yeah.
So I go in, or we went in, and sure enough, you were all going over the car.
The car, yeah.
And they're setting up this big drum kit, and the band's getting ready, and there's choppers parked out at the edge of the bandstand there, and a couple bikes. And it was a really cool, nice place. And the booth that we sat in was a Dale Earnhardt car, the front and the back of it.
I think I remember that.
And that was kind of cool. But anyway, like I said, we were the only ones in there for lunch, and Artimis come over, and I introduced myself to him, and we talked, and he sat down, and we spent all day with him, just sitting there talking. But this is going to go back to where I don't ask anybody for autographs or anything.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to mention the plane crash.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was there and the survivor of it. And one of the few things that he did mention about the band was that he had recently been asked to leave the band, and they put another drummer in there. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there might have been some bad feelings. And I didn't want to go into that, obviously, because, you want to charge anybody up over some bad deal.
Right.
But we did spend all day, stuck around, had more drinks and had dinner and everything. And he invited us over to their table for wings and stuff. There was, their entourage and everybody was there. And I mean, for hours we sat and talked and hung out. And he says, well, I got to go up. He comes back over to me and he says, I'm going uptown, just up the street. He said, ZZ Top's playing tonight. I'm going to go up and see them guys before they go on. I guess to make a long story even longer, I was just telling him about how I don't do drugs anymore and how I'm real proud of being straight. And, I've been clean since, 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever it was. And I'm thinking like, oh, don't ask me to go with you.
Yeah.
This is where I fall off the wagon, right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't. He said, I'm going to go uptown, but he said, I want you guys to stick around so you can see, my set tonight. And I'm like, holy hell, this ain't going down to like 9 o'clock. We've been here since 11 in the morning. And
I hate to pause you right on that story. What were the plans for that day before they got overhauled by us meeting Artimis Powell? Because we were on vacation, obviously. So, I can't imagine what you guys had planned before. I'm like, hey, pull over here. Let me look.
Well, before he mentioned that he was going, I don't know what the plans were. We were just
sorry
if I ruined
know. Plans.
What we wanted to do was we had a Mustang convertible,
yes.
95 Mustang convertible.
Yeah,
we took down there, and we wanted to drive it on the beach, which we had done. And, we were just tooling around, just spending time here and there. We had a week or so to spend, and we were just, entertaining you or going to the beach or whatever. We didn't really have anything major in plan.
Okay.
But then we ran into this dude.
But yes.
So before he...
Thinking about sticking around even though he doesn't go until like 9.
Yeah. So before that, he says... well, I don't do drugs anymore either, and I'm bragging about being clean. And he said, in one of the breaks in our conversation, I'm going to go out back and burn one. He said, you want to come out? And I'm like, I thought I just told you, and we just had this conversation about how I don't do drugs anymore. And he said, this is just like weed, And I'm like, this is when weed was still a drug.
Yes, yeah.
So no, I said, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. But I will go out. And I, at that point, I'm starting to think, okay, I got a camera in the car. I should have brought it in, right? Mm-hmm. So luckily, I went out the back door with him, and he's parked right out next to where the kitchen staff and deliveries pull in. And he had like a little Mercedes or Beamer or something out there. And I see him getting in there, and he's toting up one. I go over in our car, get my camera and come back. And I didn't even stop. I just kept on going. I come back inside, and then he come back in. And I'm thinking like, this is when it really dawned on me that I have quit drugs.
Yes.
When I turned down a band member of my favorite band of all times, other than the Beatles.
That was the final test. And
yeah.
Passed. Yeah.
And I'm saying I'm clean, and, I could fall off anytime. You never know. But I turned him down. I'm thinking like, yeah, this is done. I'm clean now.
Yeah.
And so then he comes over later after that little incident. And I was thinking that way. Then he says, I'm going uptown to see ZZ Top before the show, talk to them guys. And, and I'm like, okay. I was just waiting on him to ask me to go,
Yeah.
Because he ain't going to be gone long. He's got a thing going on here, right? And he didn't. So I come over to the table and I told Mom, I said, well, he went uptown to see ZZ Top. They're up a couple streets up playing at an arena or something up there. And, I didn't think anything of him not asking me until afterwards. And I got to thinking, that would have been a bad sign. If I would have went up there, I could just imagine where that would have went.
Yeah.
But he came back and we sat and watched the whole first set and maybe a couple songs of the second one. And they rocked. I mean, he did like, a couple Skynyrd songs and like Give Me 3 Steps, I think was one of them. And I can't remember what else, but they rocked hard and, he interacted and that. That was pretty cool to just hang out with somebody and like that and just get to know him a little bit better than seeing him while he's on stage or short interview.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story recently. Because again, I have these like little snippet memories of it because I was so young at the time. I remember being in the bar. I remember I remember you talking to him. Like I remember seeing the guy, but like that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, had a long shovel beard and long hair, and of course so did I.
Yeah.
But it was odd seeing us sitting. Well, she took a couple of pictures of us sitting there. Mom did, and again, could have probably had a set of drumsticks autographed or something if I'd only asked. But I think he had them with him at the table when we were sitting there. But just
this is the autograph right here. You telling this story and putting it out there, forever until modern day servers get outdated in like 50 years. I don't know, but yeah, for now, this is the autograph. This is the memory you had.
This is the autograph. Yeah, it ain't about what good would a signature do me.
Yeah, I agree. I've never really gotten the whole hype.
I mean, I've talked to Charlie Daniels, and I've talked to. We was on the bus. I was on the bus one night with this one of the Mandrell girls, Earlene. Mm-hmm. She was playing down at the what was it? Jurassic Park down in Cambridge. The festival that they do.
The Jurassic. Yeah.
We had seen and met a couple other bands down there, but we were friends with. What was the other country band? Danny Shirley, and from Confederate Railroad.
Yeah.
I need help on this sometimes. There's part of that ADHD chemo thing where I can't remember things quite as well. But so I got on a bus, and she had these black and white 8x10s there, and she said, "Would you like a picture?" So she signed. I said, "Yeah, put thanks for stopping Skip on there, And she said, "What?" And I said, "That's my saying." I said, "I just tell people thanks for stopping." So when she signed it, and I think I have it someplace in a book, but I said, "Let me have another one of them." And I wrote on there to Earlene, and I said, "Thanks for stopping." I said, "Here, hang that up in your bus." With "Thanks for stopping Skip" on it. Sign one of her pictures and give it to her. Then we would back out. But,
I remember you telling me that story within the last maybe year or two. The full details of the Artimis Powell thing, and as a now almost 30-year-old entertainer myself, I was like, first off, that was a huge growth of maturity there, turning him down, and also, what are you doing turning down smoking with Artimis Powell? But
I wonder that myself sometimes. But
I mean, hell, very recently, in fact, I had a golden goose of an opportunity. I got booked to do this festival in Waverly, Ohio. Like a week out, they decided that they were going to bring a bunch of comedians and do the after party for the festival to perform for the performers for the Saturday night, and then the event staff and some VIP camper people. And the headliner was Afroman. A lot of people in here know, he was the one that wrote the Colt 45 song and then the song Because I Got High. So in my head, I'm like, if I have the chance, I will smoke with him. I was like, if I get the drug test, I'll take the write-up for that one. I don't care. Of our disciplinary process, you got to have 4 strikes, right, to actually lose your job for it. I was like, yeah, I'll take 1 strike. I don't care. So I was doing a festival earlier in the day. So I did a double header, started in Columbus. And I even told the lady that booked that one, I'm like, hey, I got booked on this other festival at midnight. Can I go on early so that I can get there in time? She said, sure. The problem is I had also stupidly volunteered to drive 2 other people that were on the same exact schedule. And they were 2 of the last people on the first show. So I did my set. I did great. And then I'm just there stewing the whole time of hurry this up. I want to get going.
Right.
So yeah, we get out of there at 10:30 and we're following this March of the Penguins processional back to all of the parking garages and cars and stuff. And I'm in a parking garage, admittedly a little too far away. I parked in a panic. And we're trying to get out. And the person at the gate, I don't know if their card was declining on them or what, but there was a huge holdup.
I get behind that guy quite often.
Yeah. And the whole time, and again, I'm white knuckling the wheel. I'm like, I should have been halfway there by now. And finally that gets situated. And as soon as we get up, the girl in the back seat had her window down. And she recognizes one of the guys working at the parking garage because apparently they worked together at some restaurant back in the day. And the whole time they're both hitting on each other. Thing goes up and I say, Jordan, shut up. And she's like, what's your number? So here I am, like, the thing actually went down on the top of my car because halfway through she's like shouting out her number at this guy.
The same time's out.
Yeah. I'm like, first off, my luck with women, I get maybe a text a month. Here she is getting parking garage attendants numbers just shouted at her, right? To be a woman. And so we finally get on the way. We're like 30 minutes late, which I didn't want to be because, professionalism. And we get in the middle of these dark woods in the middle of Ohio, and I've never been to before. And we're hauling ass trying to get there. And we get there, and I was under the impression that this after party would be in like some like private tent, like almost like a mess hall tent or something for like the performers afterwards that ever have somebody at least keeping some semblance
VIP tent.
A VIP tent, exactly. Nope, there's the first comic on the big giant main stage performing to nobody. I saw the video afterwards. 4 people were standing there watching, and he turned all of them away. There was just the only people there were in the meet and greet line to meet Afroman, and he comes off stage, and he's obviously a wreck that he just bombed for nobody, which isn't really bombing at that point. If nobody, if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make a sound, kind of like that. If you bomb in the woods, did you bomb? And I being a comic, I'm like, well, I'll twist the knife here. I'm like, no. Somebody saw you bomb. Afroman saw you bomb. Because he was the only one facing the stage. Here's the stage. Afroman is the only one actually like kind of watching and like listening when he's not talking to people. Everyone else in the line, they had their back turned. They couldn't have gave a rat's ass about what was going on stage. Mm-hmm. And after that first guy went up, the other festival organizers, they were even like, hey, this isn't working out. And we're all like, yeah, no shit. And they're like, well, we're going to move you guys to this like private tent area. Again, what I thought we were going to be doing in the first place. And so they trounced us about like 3 different spots in this whole festival place. And at this point, we are livid. We're livid at them. We're livid at ourselves. It's just a bad experience all around. We finally get to where we're going. And then they're like, all right, well, hey, Afroman is just now eating. He finished his last of the meet and greets. And then we're going to send them over and the few other performers. We're like, fine. Then all of a sudden, one person comes up and is like, hey, they have a dab tent. Now, here's the thing. I saw that look. Since you stopped.
I'm clueless.
So a dab is a much more intense way of smoking weed, basically. There's like a whole lot of extra steps, equipment.
Yeah, where I come from, we only have one way of doing it.
Roll it up and light it. Yeah, exactly.
We had a pipe or papers.
Yeah, exactly. No. There's so many more ways of getting it into your system now. But me being the one person that doesn't actually smoke, but also when everyone else is like, oh yeah, we'll do some dabs. I wasn't peer pressured to do dabs. I was like, you're not leaving me alone in woods in Ohio. Like, no, I'm going to go with you.
I'm not saying to that tree.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to be a part of this weird thing that's might be happening. So I just there in the corner, just watching. Again, pretty livid at the whole thing. And then they do all that. We get the word of like, hey, head back. We're going to start the show. All right, fine. We get there. As soon as we get back to the place, we get the word that Afroman, who lives in is somewhere in like the Yellow Springs, Dayton-ish area. Like I didn't realize he lived in Ohio. He lives somewhere in that part of the state. He then says, hey, I'm tired. I want to go home. So they said, well, we have comedians that want to perform for you. It's like, I'm not going to stick around and listen to them, but like I'll at least meet them and say hi. And so that's the brunt of it. Was he gets in his car. He has this really nice kind of like a Mercedes or something. It might have been a BMW maybe. And he's there in this like silk like loungewear matching pajama set that he wears, and we shake the hand, and again the whole time and I'm not saying that he was rude about it, but us knowing the fact he did have that energy of like let's hurry this up, I want to get home and sleep.
Yeah.
So I mean I got to meet him. I said a few things to him, but again nothing. No having potatoes and shots with Cheap Trick, nothing like that. But yeah, I'm just saying. So like here I was perfectly willing of like, hey, if he passes around a joint, it's like, all right, I'll take one hit, just to say I smoked with the guy that wrote Because I Got High. But then you turning down.
Hey, I didn't get invited on Willie's bus or anything. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Some people don't come back off Willie's bus.
Yeah.
Actually, so to sort of cycle back, when we saw Artimis Powell, was that the same vacation that we then went to Levon Helm's music shop?
No.
That was a different one?
The following year. 2 years later.
Yeah.
We weren't married at that point, but 2 years later, we go down to Destin Beach and got married. Of course, you were there. The three of us did.
Yeah.
Then the following day, we went on down to, or a couple of days later, we went to New Orleans and was walking up and down Bourbon Street, checking the place out. And at first time I'd been there and was, going through. It's a bit of a creepy place, but it's a fun place. I can get it. It's a party, and of course we were there earlier in the day where they were still cleaning up from yesterday's party, and it's hot, it's muggy, and it's steamy, and it stinks. Basically, it smells like beer and fish, and that's a bad combination together. In an ashtray, it's just not.
Yeah, dive bar and swamp.
Yeah. It was bad. So we're walking down the street and I look over and I see this guy on the opposite corner from us. And I said to Mom and Ginger and her girlfriend and you and I said, hey, that looks like Levon Helm. Well, they don't have a clue who he is, right?
Yeah.
And he was the drummer for the band that sang Up on Cripple Creek and The Night They Drove Dixie Down. And,
The Weight.
It was, The Weight. And he was Bob Dylan's backup band back in the day. And part of them were. And, them guys all together. Well, they had retired from the band and at that point and done their final show out in, California. So I said, I got to go over there. I just know that's who it is. So here he has a lounge type place there, Levon Helm's Lounge. And finally I go over and I introduce myself to him. And I had to tell her that he was like the father in The Coal Miner's Daughter for Loretta Lynn's story, and so then they knew who he was because they had seen him in a movie. So we went over and talked, and he invited us in, and we're getting ready for the evening entertainment and activities and whatnot. Come on in, I'll show you around. So the guy takes us in, if you didn't remember, and you were small. He put you up on stage and let you play his drums, and you're up there banging on these drums. I'm like, holy hell, this isn't good, So he gets around on the piano and he starts popping this little ditty out and starts making up some kind of a nursery rhyme song for you. And you were what, about 6? You think he was? This is
maybe
5 yet.
About 5. So,
okay, yeah.
And you're playing the drums and he's on the piano playing. So I get up on stage here, and I'm like trying to get you to calm down because I didn't want you to break the head of his drum or something like that, And he didn't care. He was just a nice old guy.
Yeah.
And he come around talking.
He could afford a new drum too if he needed to.
In the meantime, you were at that time you were singing Blues Brothers stuff and things. You were entertaining like families and friends and stuff with a suit and a fedora on, singing. All those classics from the Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers soundtrack, yeah.
And I told him, I said, hey, this guy sings the blues, So I had a bucket, you had a bucket hat, and he wrote on the peak of the bucket hat, keep singing them blues, Buster.
Yeah.
Because you called yourself Buster Blues. And then he signed a shirt of ours that I had bought at the House of Blues down the street for somebody that Mom worked with. And he just took that shirt out and just signed it, which, he didn't have any of his own right then. So he just signed that House of Blues shirt, which I kept and still got. But, we got pictures of that where we met him. Yep. And just a nice guy. He invited us to stay for the evening again. And him and his daughter were going to be playing some music that night. It was a supper club kind of a place.
Right.
And, but what a nice guy. I'll tell you what, Levon Helm he passed away sometime after that,
right.
But really a great guy. And I'd seen the band on 2 or 3 occasions before that, and should have got an autograph there other than on a shirt. But
it's on a hat somewhere.
Yeah, we were there and done it and seen it and said it and whatever. But
right.
Good guy. Good story there.
Yeah.
Fun time. Let's see what else we can think of.
There's when you said you saw the band, was that at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, or had you seen them elsewhere?
I saw them before that at the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh, and they just played all night, and it was a fun time, a good rock and roll show, back in the day and they just kept playing, and it was, their sound is poppy and happy and easy to listen to, but they were at Three Rivers again afterwards, and I'd seen them with, I think, Eric Clapton and I'm going to say the Allman Brothers or somebody. There was like 3 big people on the gig then, and that was a really good show. And
yeah.
So we later, several years later, we had taken you into Columbus to Columbus Theater, I think it was, for WCOL's birthday bash kind of a thing. And Neil McCoy was playing there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting down in the orchestra pit for that. And he spotted you down there in the first couple rows, and we put you up on stage with him. And you probably remember the scene, maybe, or not. We got.
I definitely seen the picture. Definitely saw the picture.
But he put you up on his knee, and he was singing something to you, and he sang a whole song with you there. And so that was kind of fun. And then we were up at a fair up in it was Croton or someplace, and Delaware. And who was it?
John Barry.
John Barry. He was asking for young people to come up on stage. So you were on stage with John Barry, Neil McCoy, Levon Helm.
Mm-hmm.
You got some credentials going here, man.
Yeah. I say non-comedy related, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was just hanging out with me was enough.
Yeah. But I do remember. I remember the Neil McCoy one enough because I think I even mentioned something about like The Shake was my favorite song, which again, hilarious knowing what the song's actually about. But at like 4 or 5, I just liked the song. I liked how it sounded, not knowing it's about a woman with a big old ass, which I guess I really called it when I was young because here I am now. Fan of a big old behind. And then speaking of calling things from young, I see something was dug out of the archives.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was going through a couple of things that I brought from the warehouse that we still have things stored in before we get everything moved into our new house here.
Yeah.
And I ran into this little page here that is something that you wrote called About Me. It's not dated, and it has to be some time back because it's legible. Where now it wouldn't be.
Somehow my handwriting has gotten worse as an adult.
So it's you want to read it or you want me to? Who am I? I am smart and funny, he says. What kind of person am I? I am not shy.
Also somehow gotten shyer as an adult, but okay.
What do I like about myself? I'm smart. He knew it. He knew it up front.
Well, they made the mistake when I was in first grade telling me I was a 145 IQ. So I was like, oh, so I'm a genius. Okay, cool. Let's, yeah. And oh, look how I've used it, right? Like, this is what I've done with it.
So it says the fourth one is, what would I do to change? To be more serious about school. What's that all about?
Yeah, right.
And then
School is for fools.
what do others like about me? I'm funny. So he knew early on that he was going to be a funny person. So there you go.
It's, I'll say, highbrow comedian is what I was destined to be. I think more so than anything, I love the humility about this. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what a cocky little shit I was when I did this.
How old do you think you were when you wrote that?
I was probably 7 or 8, maybe. Actually, well, yeah, I probably somewhere. I don't know. I wasn't a teenager yet.
Oh, hell no.
This was still pretty much elementary school. I'd hazard a guess anywhere between like 7 or 9, probably. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stage manifested itself, I guess. So yeah, I mean, always destined to be an entertainer in some form, between, you know, getting drum lessons from Levon Helms and singing blues at people's parties, and which I can only imagine how heart-wrenching it had to be hearing a 4-year-old white boy singing blues. Oh, the pain he had to have been going through, right? But
you did a good job of it, actually.
Yeah. But yeah.
So recently we went back to PA, him and I, to my dear friend that I grew up with and spent most of my life with from probably second grade on or first grade on, passed away. So we went over for the funeral, and Destin went over with me to Pennsylvania. And so we go over there and that's the first time I'd been back in like 30 years probably. And I hadn't seen anybody. Nobody I went to school with or anything like that. So we pull in the parking lot of the funeral home, and a couple moves in next to us and parks, and they'll go, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, I'm like, it took a second before it kicked in as to who it was. Good friend of mine I drank with forever and went to school with, him and her. So that kind of helped break the ice to walk into the funeral home and meet some people and go in there. But I didn't know. It was weird. I would go in there and I would be introduced to people. And as soon as I was told who they were, it was like, holy hell, how did I not know who that was? You know, as soon as you get the name, then the whole face thing comes back in. I could recognize, I knew them. I don't forget faces, but when you don't think of somebody for 30 or 40 years, it's pretty hard to jump right back into it, you know. And of course, back there, they never go anywhere or do anything. They don't know there's an outside world over that Appalachian, Pennsylvania area.
There's a big bubble.
Yeah, they don't know there's Europe and, you know, the Caribbean or wherever places that we've hung out and been and done and that sort of thing. But it was kind of a weird thing to do that. But we went on a little tour of the town where I came from. Yeah. And go ahead, you tell your side.
Okay, yeah. So actually, well, we'll cycle it back a little bit. This was maybe about, I don't know, 2 years ago now. I was booked to do this private show on a riverboat on the Ohio River. We made berth out of Marietta. And then I got a show in Pittsburgh. So I made a whole weekend out of it. And after, I think I was during the day, I had time to kill in Pittsburgh. So I was like, you know what, let me go check out Midway. And I even tested myself. I was like, let's see if I can do it without GPS. And sure enough, I knew exactly how to get to Pap's old house. And as soon as I got there, you know, I get out of my car and I FaceTime you out of nowhere, hoping that you pick up. Sure enough, you did. And then at that point,
holy hell.
Yeah. And then from that moment on, I got back in the car and it was no, but thankfully no one was driving around because like here I am like a old person on a Sunday, you know, driving 5 miles an hour through all these roads because you're giving me a FaceTime tour. Like I'm with one hand I'm steering, the other one I'm like holding the phone out so you can see what I'm seeing. And here you are, you're giving me the story of like everyone that used to live at this house or whatever, and in what grisly, horrible, awful fashion they died. And it was like, you know, and after about like the 15th story of someone either hanging themselves or being caught in the house fire or something like that, I'm just like, hey, Dad, do you have any stories from here that end any kind of happily? Like,
no, no. The answer was no.
Like, every single song ends like a sad, like country song.
Yeah, you can write a country album and a half over there. It's just that.
Yeah.
I mean, bad things happen to good people, and a lot of them seem to live right in that neighborhood. But oddly enough, I mean, that's what happens in a little small town. And
because I mean,
around here you don't know everybody. So when somebody dies in a house fire or hangs himself, you don't feel it. But when you're in a town of 1,500 people, you know them.
I was about to ask what the population was.
I don't know what it was. It wasn't very many, but you just grow
probably
up knowing
1,500. And that sounds about right.
Yeah, and everybody knew me for sure because I was like the town terror. So, it was. So we go back over for the funeral, and we go on we're doing a first class tour of this. This isn't no video.
No FaceTime now. I'm driving properly.
So we go around and I show him all the different parts of town, and this is where the bar was or is, and that's where I lived, and this is where they live, and this and that. So we go up the hill, and he wants to see where.
Well, originally
Leprose Woods. I told him
Leprose Woods.
I used to tell a tale,
and then Cliff Weaver. But
when the kids were little, I would always tell this tale of this Leprose Woods, where a guy. It was told to us, 60, 70 years ago that this guy in this old cabin up in these woods he lived in there by himself. He's a recluse, and he was kind of scary, and everybody was freaked out over him and everything. And the kids would sneak up there at night and try to, and he'd scare him or whatever. But one night he falls into this fire in the potbelly stove that he had in this little cabin, burned his head off. So now the ghost of Lou Lepro was, or Babe. His name was Babe. Lepro would.
You can't be giving out no Christian names here.
The ghost of Babe Lepro was out and about, and so I showed him where Leprose Woods were, and now there's house trailers and buildings up in there, and it's not so wooded anymore.
No.
So we head on around, and he said, "What about Cliff Weaver?" Another old tale that I used to tell. My dad told me when I was getting tired and ready to go to bed, he would say, "Come on, you're tired as Cliff Weaver," which was an old story of a guy that carried a sack of grain from downtown at the feed store or the general store up to his home at the end of the road up out of town there up on the hill. And there was a big ditch on the side of the road. And he was about 2 houses from home, and he lays down on this sack of grain and he falls asleep. Couldn't make it any further.
Well, it didn't help that there was definitely a bar between there and his house. So
that bar was the
general store.
That was the general store.
Oh, okay.
Wow. I didn't point out to you that there was a concrete thing sitting in the back parking lot of that, which I don't know if it's still there or not, but that's where they used to keep explosives, dynamites and stuff. There was this thing that had cement walls about 3 feet thick.
Yeah.
And people would buy dynamite stuff out there for these mines
and
stuff.
Right.
It was all coal mining area.
Yeah.
So anyway, Cliff, he goes up and he falls asleep, and Harry and Seymour, they had this old hearse that they used to use as a vehicle that they renovated homes in back in the early 50s and stuff. And they're heading up the hill to back in there and park, and there's Cliff in the way. So Harry gets out and he kicks him, and he comes to life. And he said, "Oh, I thought you were dead." And he said, "No." He said, "I couldn't make it home." He said, "I was too tired to get up." He lived like two houses up the hill. So
could see his bed in the window.
He was tired if he couldn't make that. So my dad would always say, "Come on, you're tired as Cliff Weaver." And he'd throw me over his shoulder and take me up to bed every night. So he wanted to see where that took place. So in the meantime, now we're headed toward the cemetery.
Yeah.
You can finish that one off, the cemetery story.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, at the top of this big beach hill. Okay. Yeah. Surprise me. Yeah, Brick Hill. So at the top of this giant hill in Midway, I had no recollection that that's where the cemetery was. It's we get up there, beautiful too. It was like perfectly lit and everything, and we're just using it almost more as a turnaround. But then he is like, "Well, hey, while we're here, if you thought your FaceTime tour was sad and depressing, let's do a real life cemetery tour here." And this is all while we're killing time waiting for the funeral home we we're going to's calling hours to open.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's
to make a long story.
So essentially, we're pre-gaming these calling hours with more sad, depressing tales,
but true stories.
Sad, yeah, very true, based on true stories. And we're out there walking around, and yeah, like I said, you're giving me the whole talk of the town here, people you played ball with,
but they weren't all grim and like
ironically, those were some of the happier ones.
Yeah,
like the one that caught in house fire didn't have the grave. That was a sadder one, but
yeah, well, 3 kids in a house fire burning up. That's always never going to be. That's never going to be a good story.
Yeah,
true, but never good.
Yeah, but not the kind of roasting we like to talk about on this channel.
Yeah. No. Wrong roast.
Yeah. But let's
what do you got?
Oh, you got me the Brewdog. Good choice. So yeah, anyway. We will actually we're already at we're a little past an hour now, so I guess we can start wrapping up. We'll save anything for a part 3. So,
if anybody's interested in same shit, different day, we got a part 3 thing. We can tell stories for.
Oh yeah, we got all the jam. We got Ohio exploits. We have our travels as I can remember them.
Yeah. Or the next podcast, you'll see us talking about perhaps jet skiing in the Caribbean or parasailing. We parasailed in Destin down in the Gulf of Florida there.
Prague.
Some of our and our little. Did we talk any of Prague on our?
I don't think we did the first one. No,
we went to Europe and did a little visit over to Prague and to a German concentration camp and
Village Pond in Tottenham.
Yeah, we've been up into Canada for saw the Village Pond at the Bluegrass Festival up there. We've got a pretty wide range of things that we can bring up that may or may not entertain you, but still, I appreciate you having me back, and
of course,
good to be back. It's good to report that I'm doing well from my cancer situation, and
hopefully next time you're on here, it's not because of another health related thing or whatnot.
Yeah, not for me, not for you.
Yeah.
It's
your kindergarten teacher said you were well-rounded.
Yes.
Look at you now.
I'll say I proved her right now. That was also less an education system and more fast food and Miller High Life. But anyway, happy to have you. And again, we'll have you for part 3 here. Also,
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Shameless plug here. September 21st is going to be the official release date of my new special, You Asked for This. I'm currently in the process of editing it now. I got maybe another week's worth, and then after that, I'll start heavily marketing it. There'll be a somewhat aggressive tour afterwards throughout most of fall, winter, September. So stay tuned to the website, and I'll post dates about that.
What about trip to Vegas coming up?
And I'll plug that one now. Yeah, so September. Excuse me.
What?
Edit that in post.
I hope so. He'll probably send that over to my.
Then again, I said that I'll edit the one I did in the special in post, and I'm leaving it. So September 14th. Actually, I need to pull up the name of the establishment itself.
Yeah, in case anybody wants to fly out to Vegas for this event.
Yes. in case you want to go to.
Unfortunately, I'm going to need some backup on that because I'm not going to make that. But if anybody wants to cover me on that, I'd be happy to loan them a PPR shirt.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go in 114-degree heat in September, but it's a dry heat from what I'm told. So
yeah, feels like 112.
Yeah,
doesn't feel like 114.
Right.
It's much drier. It only feels like 112.
Yeah. I mean, again, as somebody that does work out in the humidity, I'm very fascinated to experience this dry heat that I've heard so much about. Wow, it is way back there.
I'm sorry I brought it up now.
No. No, I should have been.
Maybe it was probably last week. You missed it.
Probably. Or knowing me, I'll forget to release this until like after the fact already.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Destin's got something coming up in Vegas.
In
September.
I'm having trouble finding the exact name of the place here. Again, just
Frank's Backyard Barbecue or something like that.
If you don't already, follow my Facebook or Instagram. Once I actually get the official flyer for it, I'll be sure to share it there. But yeah, September 21st, there'll be a release party for my special, also here in Newark, Meraki Gallery. And then, hopefully it'll be on Amazon Prime. If not, it'll be on YouTube. So again, thank you very much. And thanks for stopping.
Peace out. Thanks for stopping.